Okay. Well, welcome everybody to Business Resilience Now, and I am absolutely delighted today to have a very special guest with us, Khadija Paul, and I'm going to share with you a little bit about her in just a couple of moments. Many of you know that COVID has literally changed the world. Change is always interesting. Sometimes it's difficult, and often there can be many positive things that come out of COVID. But what I'm feeling in my heart and what we've been doing on so many webinars, myself and some of the folks who I work with, since really COVID became a big deal here in North America in March, has been to try to offer hope, right? Hope is such a precious commodity. You might be, tuning into this and thinking that hope is just an emotion, but hope is literally like fuel for the soul. And, if you wake up every day and all you got on the schedule is Netflix and another day of lockdown, that's a pretty tough place to be. But if every day you wake up and you've got some hope in your heart, and you've got an idea that today is an opportunity for you to build something, build your business, build your dream, build your family, build your relationships, improve your life, that changes everything. And I know that because there's been times in my life that I haven't had hope, and so I'm so grateful that I live a pretty hopeful life right now. I think many of you know too that my position on this is it is time, I think, to safely reopen. No matter where you stand on COVID-19, I think we're all in agreement that this is a very serious disease. It's a very serious health condition. But many countries have shown that there's opportunity in the middle of all of this crisis to safely reopen and to find ways to continue to protect our health, but also allow our entrepreneurs and our small businesses to thrive. One of the scariest trends of COVID-19. And, I've had lots of, debates and discussions with people about this because, as you know, like since April, I've been saying like reopen. And, people sometimes say, well, don't you care about health? Well, of course I care about health. I mean, health is so important, but, all of the systems that we so rely on, the healthcare system, the social safety net, all of those critical functions are so intricately tied to the economy. And as we have protected COVID, what we've also done is seen massive increases in mental health issues. The suicide rate amongst high school students, for example, in the United States is doubling right now. And so, when I look at that, I think, we solved one problem by putting all of our focus on one thing. So how do we now safely reopen, protect the health of people, but also create space? And you might say, well, what does that have to do with mental health? Well, it has a lot to do with mental health because, there's a really solid relationship between people's mental health and their ability to contribute to society, their ability to get up and have purpose and meaning every single day. And so, I don't really have the answers, that's for sure, but I've been able to bring some incredible guests on this webinar and others over the last several months where we've had conversations about sort of some solutions, right? I think it's a faulty sort of narrative to think that the solutions are in one person or one group or one professional. And I think that there's a real value in just like you would do at a campfire, just sit around and just talk. And so, today I'm so honored to have, we were going to have the awesome tag team of Alanzo and Khadija, and I'll let Khadija tell you why Alanzo couldn't make it in just a moment. But having said that, Khadija is definitely twice the woman that Alanzo is for sure. And, she's just an amazing human being who is so entrepreneurial and has such a big heart. I mean, I haven't been close to Khadija, but I've known you for, I'd say 9-10 years now. And I've had great opportunity to connect a little bit more with Alanzo and just to watch your journey. It's been so great. I'm going to just read their bio just so if you're watching, you have a bit of a handle on their background. In 2014, Alanzo and Khadija, of course, they're married, they're together, and they founded the men's grooming brand, the B.I.G, the big company. They started their company with a vision powered by a definiteness of purpose, and that's important. And their entrepreneurial endeavor was not just about money, but it was about being an influential voice in business and culture. And I love that. I think if it's all about money, it's pretty empty. And today, Khadija is focused on the B.I.G company, the big company in the e-commerce sector. And she also is helping others start their entrepreneurial mission. And Alanzo is part of an organization called RZIM, where he speaks into the hearts and minds of people and culture. And Alanzo has spoken all over the place in prisons, churches, universities, schools, all over Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Europe. And so, I'm just thrilled to have you here today, Khadija. Welcome to our little show.
Thank you. So happy to get to be here with you guys.
So great. And so tell us what happened to Alanzo today, to Mr. Paul.
Oh, so we did a little misscheduling, but he's actually speaking to a group of youth at an event called Reboot.
Okay.
And he is doing that in downtown Toronto right now. It's all like broadcast, so it's not live, but he's doing what we're doing right now.
That's
so
so
he's
cool.
with us in a sense.
So he just couldn't be at two places at once, but that's totally fine, right? Because you are more than enough, and we're so grateful for you taking time out of your busy schedule. So I'd love to just have you share a little bit of your journey. I mean, it's easy for me to read the bio, but just tell us a little bit about you and Alanzo and what you guys are up to.
So actually right now, I am running our company, the B.I.G company, which stands for Being Incredible Gentlemen.
Okay.
And, so we just desire to like see people flourish, even though we have like a physical product, like beard products, our heart is always to see people do well and to thrive in life. And that's just both of our calling and desire.
Yes.
And so right now I'm running our business, and Alanzo is speaking all over Canada. Right now it's all digital, which is really cool because I've got to spend like enormous amounts of time with my husband, and I love that because he's just the best. Fun together, and he's a great cook, so I feel like things have worked out in my favor, thankfully. But yeah, he's speaking on a topic called beauty. What is it? Basically it's about beauty and how God is shown through beauty. So that's the topic that he's doing, and he speaks in churches and universities everywhere digitally right now, and he has a busy season coming up, but he is in his dream job, which is why we actually started our business in the first place. I remember, I'll just share a little bit about how we started really quick since I'm on the top.
Love it.
But so I remember we were dating, and I was sitting on the floor in my bedroom, and we were just talking on the phone, and he's like, Khadija, how do you think itinerant speakers get paid? And I was like, I have no idea how to get paid. But it just came to me. I was like, well, if we have a business, then you can travel and speak, and it's no big deal, and there's no pressure on you, and we'll have our company, and that'll like fund the dream.
Love it.
So we just always had this, like, when you decide to do something, all of a sudden you get this heightened sense of, business. If you decide that you want to start a business, all of a sudden you see it everywhere. So because we decided that, we were always looking for opportunities to get Alanzo to start speaking and for us to start an entrepreneurial journey, which is exactly what happened, which is so cool.
I just love that. And how old were you guys when that sort of conversation and dream kind of happened?
Alanzo was 25 and I was 26.
Okay. So, there's no age requirement when it comes to dreams or business or anything like that. No, that's so cool. And so, so right now, you're running the B.I.G company. So tell us a little bit about what you guys are up to in that company.
So we are actually, like Abe said, we are completely online. We're an e-commerce based business. And we sell online. We sell all over Canada and the US and internationally as well. Okay. And right now we're focusing on growing our brand so that we can sell it in about a year's time. And then I'll do something else that's maybe not so masculine. You do what you got to do, but we really want to move on to greater things. And we're leveraging what we have right now in our hands and growing it and making it as successful as we possibly can, and then we're going to move on to something new and exciting.
I just love that. And so And so the B.I.G company, it stands for Being Incredible Gentlemen. And on Facebook, where can people find you? What's or Instagram? Do you guys have a handle or anything?
Yeah, it's B.I.G Company Inc. That's the handle.
Okay, B.I.G Company Inc. Okay, that's great. So, and what kind of products are you guys selling? I mean, men's grooming, but
Yeah.
that can be anything, right? So, what are you guys focused on?
So we have primarily beard products.
Okay.
And we have one shaving product, and we're going to kind of go more into shaving as well, because we kind of have this philosophy that men are either growing their beards or shaving them off. So we
Right.
have every kind of man covered.
Love it. Well, I mean, I have a little beard myself, so I definitely got to check out, some of the products that you have, eh? So I love the name, being incredible gentleman. So tell us a little bit about that.
So we actually, so Alonzo and I are both kind of wired very similarly, where we're not just about making money, but we're like, if we want to have a business, there's just something in us that drives us when we feel like we're able to contribute to other people's lives and speak into their lives. So really, it didn't matter what kind of business we started, if it was women's stuff, or if it was stationery or whatever it was. We just knew that whatever product we had, it had to be awesome, and it had to really speak into the hearts and minds of people. So
Yeah.
that's why we chose that kind of name.
I love that. And so, I'd love to hear your take, because there's a lot of guys who tune into this, and of course, ladies. What's a definition, or how would you define an incredible gentleman? And I'm hoping, my wife is listening and she's thinking a picture of me. that might be too much to ask, but like what's an incredible gentleman? What does that kind of look like?
Well, we really like to focus on thinking about a man, like how he is with his family and how he is with his kids. Someone who doesn't just let life happen to them, but they're really intentional and purposeful with how they live life, the way that they think, the way that they treat people, the way that they love people. So we just always wanted to bring the best out of men, and we know that it can be so easy to just let life happen to you.
Yes.
And when you have a message that really speaks truth and brings life to someone's, whatever darkness they're facing, we want to bring people out of that and show them the possibility of the kind of man that they can be.
Yeah. And that's tough, right? I mean, I find that men are going through some things today, right? And of course, I mean, I'm a man, so I find that it's a challenge for men to understand, what does it really mean to be a man? I think, and of course, part of the issue, and just my opinion, is there's a lot of mixed messages out there when it comes to the media. But I like what you said around, the idea of family and how we treat people, right? Because I think that's where it always starts, right? It's not so much about kind of quote unquote gender, but it's really about how are you acting and treating the people around you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So tell us, how's the entrepreneurial journey been for you? I mean, 25, 26, starting this company and still running it to this day. So has it been all just cashing checks and tiptoeing through the tulips, or what has the journey been like?
This is how it's been.
Okay. Okay. Lots of ups and downs, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but it's been great. So we started our company 2014, 2015. And after about 2 years, Alonzo had the opportunity to study at Oxford University, which
Okay.
is a miracle in itself because he barely graduated high school. So
Yeah.
he got into Oxford was amazing. And we had our business, so we were able to take it with us to England, and I was able to run our company from
Right.
there. And so it's been such a blessing for us to always have an income and to be able to, do things that we love to do and just keep expanding our life to include more than just our business,
Yeah.
which has been really amazing. But if you're an entrepreneur, and you can expect that you're going to have ups and downs, and this is a learning curve.
Yes. I love that.
So I mean, like when you're on the top, things are feeling great, but then when the like economy could dip, or like we sell on Amazon, primarily we were, and it just like they could say something happened and your listing goes down and you're like, I'm not making money, and it affects everything.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ups and downs, but what's really cool is that in those valleys where you're kind of pressed, you're pushed to have to learn and grow.
Yeah.
And I find if I didn't have those valleys, if we didn't go through those things, then we wouldn't be, like up here now. So, you go down and you go up, and you go down and you go up. But every time you go up, you're up a little bit higher because you've learned a little bit more.
Love
And,
that.
and so I'm grateful for the ups and downs, because it
Yeah.
never would have like pushed me to get into a place where I absolutely have to learn and have to grow. And sometimes you just need to have to be put in that position to actually get yourself to a place where you can experience more because you've learned.
Yeah, that's so good, Khadija, and thanks for sharing that. Right? I mean, I think that when you navigate those things, you bring up such a great point. And so how do you navigate them? I mean, when you're up, and it's like easy. But when you're down, I don't know about you, but it impacts you sometimes at the level of your sense of worth and value. Sometimes you don't feel affirmed or acknowledged, and then of course, if it hits your bank account, then it's, as they say, it's real at that point. So what have been some strategies that you and Alonzo have used to kind of get through that?
I think one of the big ones is encouragement. So you need to have people around you who can encourage you through that valley.
Right.
There's nothing more valuable than having somewhere where you can go to share what you've been dealing with, and for someone to actually encourage you to come out of the valley and just be like, this, even just knowing that other people go through it and that you're not the only one that goes through it is also encouraging in itself, where like other people have overcome, which means I can overcome. There's evidence for being able to overcome.
Love
So
it.
you can bring certainty in your valley that there is a way out. I'm not the only one that's been here. Many people have been here, and there's places that I can go to resource myself to get out the same way that they did and to learn from them. So things like a mastermind is one of the most valuable things that you can have as an entrepreneur, because everyone in your mastermind group, so people that are like-minded, who are doing similar thing than you, who add to your strengths, where you can add to theirs. It's a place where you can just say, I'm in this valley, and then they can give you resources. I've been there. This is what I did. You should try this, so that you're never in the valley alone, but you're always with someone who can maybe throw down a rope and help you come out. So that's what I've done, is when I've been in the valley, I've sought resources, I've talked to people, I've asked for help, and just other people's experiences to show me, like, what did you do to actually get out of that, because now I'm here and I need your help to get out.
I just love that. That's just awesome, Khadija. And I think part of that, right, is this idea of, vulnerability. I mean, one of the biggest things I think when we say, hey, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, everybody, and then we almost feel like, if I admit that I'm struggling, is that somehow a contradictory message? But what do you think about that?
Oh man, you could struggle alone and fail, or you can struggle with people and get somewhere. And I think it's, yeah, humility is so huge as an entrepreneur, and just like a perspective that people don't think less of you when you're struggling, they actually think more of you,
Yeah.
because vulnerability and humility actually have more weight than being overly confident. And I think it's just a mind shift and perspective thing, where like you think you'll be seen as weak if you show weakness, but actually it's the opposite, where people will trust you more and find that you actually have a strength that they probably don't even have, because vulnerability is actually not a weakness.
Right.
It's one of the most courageous things that you could do. So I think it's just shifting our perspective to see that the weight of humility and vulnerability is far greater than like pride and hiding and trying to figure it out on your own.
I love that. I love what you said. You can fail alone, or you can be vulnerable and struggle with people and maybe get somewhere. And I just love that because, if you're watching this here today and you're thinking to yourself, you've got to just man up, or you just got to fight through it by yourself, I think, at least I'd like to say, you're wrong. Reach out, find some help, find some support. This isn't, a solo project. And yes, it's your business, but it doesn't have to be a solo journey. And, I think that I've been absolutely guilty of that in my life for whatever reason, got it into my head that independence and not sharing weakness was somehow a sign of strength, which is, I don't even know where that came from. I literally never remember anybody saying that to me, but somehow that got into my mind, and then it impacted me. And then I'm carrying a burden all by myself, be it building a business or improving a relationship, and not struggling, and then not succeeding, and then that reinforces the feeling of failure, and that's not cool either, is it?
Mhm.
Yeah. So let's talk for a moment about if you're open, like the relationship. I mean, when you think about, husband and wife, you're in ministry together. So Alonzo and Khadija, they're strong Christians, and that's not to in any way denigrate anyone else's faith. I mean, you're welcome to believe 100% the way you like and the way you choose to. But that puts a bit of a strain because of Alonzo's public profile and the kind of work that he's doing, and then of course running a business together. So how has that been for you guys?
We actually, you just make it work, Um, so Alonso, when he actually went to study at Oxford, it was kind of we were actually both supposed to go and do this one program,
Okay.
but it was impossible to run a business and do the program. So it just made more sense for Alonso to do it and for me to stay focused on our business, just because I'm probably more entrepreneurial and he's more into like the philosophy and theology and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
we found our own little groove. Initially, it was hard for me to take on everything because he did a lot of the stuff that I don't like doing, finances.
Right.
And so I had to like learn how to do the finances and just everything else that came along with running a business. So taking over his side was challenging, but at the same time, I found a lot of strength knowing that he was in his lane and then I'm in my lane, and we can support and encourage each other. So
Yes.
I never wished for him to help me. I always just felt like it's not easy, but it's right. It's not. It doesn't always it's not always simple to make decisions like that, but it doesn't mean that they're wrong, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just really learned not to fear what's difficult, from him having moved on from our company and me continuing.
Yeah.
It's never like there's like little moments here and there where you feel like the stress and you wish, oh, like I wish you could do this with me, but I would never actually want that.
Yes.
And I think like both of our hearts is that we're just on the same team as a couple.
Yeah.
And I'm there to support Alonso and listen to his talks and give him feedback and whatever it is to make sure that he's really thriving and flourishing and doing well and feeling confident. And
Yeah.
he does the same for me.
Yes.
So we're each other's soundboards, and we don't look at our lives as two different things, but we look at our lives as like one thing. So, I don't work for RZIM, but I always say, like, this is what we do.
Yeah.
And Alonso's not active in our business, but he recognizes that this is our company and he treats it as such. So he's
Love it.
so in what I'm doing and I'm so in what he's doing. And there's just like unity and peace between us in what we feel that we're called to do. So we don't have a lot of tension, but I think it's because we're on the same team and like we'll do whatever the other needs to see each other flourish in what we're doing. So
Great. I mean, that's a true partnership though, isn't it? To me, it's about that support. You don't have to be doing the same thing. Matter of fact, it can be tough if you are, but certainly, commitment to each other. And I guess when I was thinking about your journey, the fact that you're doing what you're doing today is really just building on the first step of faith that you both had to take just to do Oxford itself. I mean, that, that was a huge thing, right? And I think that built resilience. And I think sometimes we look at people today who might be successful and we have this idea that they just sort of arrive there, and we don't really see a lot of the smaller steps, which at the time were big steps that we had, or that you had to take to get there. I mean, maybe talk a little bit about that. Like, what was that whole, Oxford journey like, and what did it do to sort of build your faith and your confidence and your resilience as you move forward even today?
Yeah, it was a big step of faith. To be honest, we didn't have all the finances when we decided to go.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think we didn't actually have, we paid for part of Alonzo's education, but we didn't have the rest of it. Like, there was like payment plans that you could do. So I think it was just knowing that we just had this confidence that what we were doing was, it was just so like high on our list of priorities.
Yeah.
That we knew that it would bring out of us whatever we needed to come out of us to see it through.
Okay.
And so it was kind of like, that vision with definite purpose that we have. It's like, we know where we're going, and we might not have everything we need, but we know we have in us what we need to be able to get to where we need to go. So it was kind of like the vision weighed more than the fear of not having everything that we needed. And just taking a step and taking that risk and just seeing how things lined up, that's where our confidence was really built.
Yeah.
And where it actually gave us the courage to take more risks, because we knew that, we had everything that we needed within us, that it was already given to us by God to be able to, take on the calling that we were given.
Yeah.
And so, so I think we just, one little step at a time, just seeing how taking that leap of faith, just how, can work out. And even if it doesn't work out, you just see how you have the capacity to grow and become more resilient.
Yes.
And that in itself is so encouraging, the fact that we even have that capacity.
Yes.
That, mistakes and setbacks don't make us less, but they make us more if you will let it make
Yes.
you more. And that's the purpose of, like even a butterfly coming out of a cocoon, it has to struggle to soar. And sometimes the struggle is so worth it, but you have to see it as something that is like good in your life. And I think we've just always had that outlook that we're not afraid to struggle, but we know that at the end of the struggle, it's like we're going to be so much more and be able to do so much more and take on, like, that big dream that's out there. That big dream is going to happen only if you go through the struggle and the process of it, because you need to grow to carry the weight of that big vision that you have.
I love that.
I've always had that kind of outlook.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, one of the things I've tried to say to folks is what future dreams are you forsaking that are down the road by not fighting and winning the battle today? And that's a really tough question, because none of us can see the future, but we live in a society that's so much about the now, and it's so much about almost this sense of expectation that, well, I have a dream, everything should just be easy. But in reality, it's not, and it's actually pretty hard. And yet, if I can build that, you could use the word grit or resilience or whatever you want, but the idea is, this choice today, like that choice that you guys made to push through that tough time with the whole Oxford situation, now has given you a level of capacity today that you would not have had. And so you wouldn't be where you are today, maybe, if you hadn't have taken those steps before. Yeah. So, so tell us, as we're in COVID, like, what are you seeing? What are you hearing from business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are maybe in the e-commerce space, from yourself? What's kind of happening out there?
So in terms of e-commerce, it is actually worked in our favor a little bit. Like, there's some people that are having a hard time, but I think people that are on the online space were able to bounce back a little bit easier.
Sure.
Because and started to shop online.
Okay.
For us, barbershops closed, so our sales went up.
Okay.
So we actually didn't feel the negative effect of COVID economically. We actually felt it the other way,
Okay.
it positively. And that's going to happen, like grocery stores making so much more money. And so
Yeah.
I think that's just part of the nature of what happened is like customers will go, you know, where they can to get what they need.
Yeah.
And so that's just what happened for us. And now things have slowed down a little bit again. And now they're kind of like normal summer season kind of sales.
Okay.
Everything's opening up again. So, but we are grateful that we didn't have to take a hit during COVID.
Yeah.
But that's not the case for everyone. I think from what I've seen, like outside of the online space, it's been really hard and a little bit heartbreaking to just walk around Toronto and like you see so many places that are just boarded up, you know, people had to close down, they just couldn't make it. And then you also see people that like they kind of pushed through and they made it and their doors are open, but that's it, just their doors are open, there's not really anything going on.
Yeah.
There's still not a lot of people, you know, going out as much as there was before. So you can just see that people are like waiting to have customers, but not having it the same way that they might have had before. So you feel the tension of, you know, restaurant owners and, you know, other business owners and stuff like that. You wish you could go around and be like, well, if you just did this, 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 and this, it would really help you.
No.
But you can't really just do that because it's also something of the business owner that has to desire and want growth. And I don't see how I can go around to like a million different places to do that. But some things that I noticed, and I hope, you know, if you're a business owner who's watching this right now, is that there's some things that we can do as business owners, like if you have a brick and mortar store, is because customers are probably less right now, there's a few things that you can employ to help increase your profit. So
Okay.
like, is it okay if I'm talking about this right now?
Absolutely. No, this is great. Yeah, keep going.
So I think the first thing is that I've learned from our business is you really need to have a pulse on your finances,
Okay.
because being an entrepreneur, it's like the bottom line is like the finances, like can you financially sustain the thing that you're trying to build? Because if you don't have the finances, you can't build. And so I think just really having a pulse on, you know, what your money looks like, having a financial plan, all this kind of stuff is so important for you to be able to just be able to thrive financially in your business.
Yeah.
And for some people, and it's maybe hard to hear this, but if you look at the numbers and you just don't see a way for you to come out of it, it's okay to sometimes close and start again.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the entrepreneurial journey. Most very successful entrepreneurs, they will try something and it doesn't work, and then they try something else, but they don't try it the same way. They try it having known this new information from what happened in the past. They learned from it and then they keep building.
Yes.
But it's not that you've lost everything. It's that you've had to pivot, and that's part of the entrepreneurial journey. And you're not alone in it, because the most successful entrepreneurs, they do that, and that's just part of the process. So it's not that you failed, it's that you've learned, and taking on that mindset helps you get out of that sense of loss.
Yeah.
Because like feeling like you've lost something can really feel discouraging, but feeling that you gained something can be really empowering. And just having that, like, I've gained more from that negative experience, I've gained more, and just taking what you've learned and starting again. And that's okay to do, and you'll do it better the next time. You just will.
Love it.
If you learned. But some things that I've just been thinking about for businesses to increase their profit is, number one is finding strategies to get more customers in the door.
Yeah.
And just having like a goal of, you know, being able to increase that by 10%. So you having things in place where you can actually measure your growth, because right now it's more important than ever for you to, you know, every day, every week, every month, measure the growth that you're experiencing as a business. Because if
Yes.
you're growing, then you're not growing,
Yeah.
you're shrinking.
Yeah.
And that's how something that COVID can just take you out, is if you haven't had a plan of growth. The other thing that you can do is, when a customer comes in, is getting them to spend more than they would have. So like different things like, upsell. So I'll give you some examples because I'm probably better with examples, but
Yeah,
I just
sure.
got my eyelashes done recently.
Nice. Okay.
And so I'm always like, because when you're an entrepreneur and a business owner, what other people are doing is really heightened in their businesses.
Yeah.
So I just noticed this one company that I called, this one salon. I called them to see if they're booking for eyelashes. They said, no, we're not booking. And I was waiting for them to say, well, we'll let you know as soon as we are, or well, let me book you in anyways and we can change it if we can't take you or whatever. Like something to solidify that I want you as my customer,
So good. Yeah.
that, oh, we can't, and the situation has overcome us. That's what I felt like.
Yes.
But they want me, they want me to spend money with them, but I didn't feel that from them. And I just thought, you just lost me as a customer because
Yeah.
every time I contact you, you won't book me. So I found another place, and the experience was not the greatest, which I found a little bit shocking, considering you would think that people would give their very best after reopening,
Yeah.
want to retain as many clients as possible and have them come back and all this kind of stuff. But
Of course. Yeah.
yeah, this other place, it was just weird where they didn't ask to book me again. So another thing that helps is, so first, like bringing in more clients. And the second is getting them to buy more per transaction.
Yeah.
And you can like think about let's start with like 10%, how I can get people to spend 10% more. And you can grow your company by 10% more just by figuring out strategies for you to be able to get people to buy more per transaction.
Love that.
And the third thing is, how can you get people to keep coming back? So something that keeps drawing them in. Eyelashes is a great way to rebook for my next appointment.
I know, right? It's like, what an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, and they didn't rebook me. So I was like waiting for them to ask me, can I book you again?
Yeah.
And they're like, what works for you? Like, this is the best time frame, but they didn't. And then I was like, okay, well, see you later. But I was waiting for an upsell. I was waiting for something like, sell me something to clean my eyelashes, sell me something to make my investment, which is $180 a month, last a bit longer. And so there's all this money that's on the table in people's businesses that's just sitting there because you're not getting people to buy more, or you're not getting them to come back again in some way. And if you just, it's the whole thing about not just letting life happen to you. Don't let the customer just decide what they're going to do, but like take them on a journey when they come to you. And for another example would be like, if you go to a restaurant, and this might be silly, but don't put water on the table when the customer comes in. Ask them what they would like to drink.
Right.
If you have water there already, they're going to say, no, I'm fine with water.
Right.
But if you let them say, actually, I would love to have like a Coke or, a beer or something, then it's like you're getting them to, you're kind of drawing out of them to buy more than giving them water. And they're like, no, I'm actually fine with water. So just strategizing ways to get the customer to spend more money and to come back again, and to, find ways to get people into the door, as opposed to just waiting for someone to stumble upon your business.
I just love it. So practical. I mean, I'm just listening and writing some of it down, like 10% more customers. And imagine if then you had 10% more customers and you're able to get 10% more business out of all of your customers. That would be exponential growth. And, I think it's so critical. It's amazing in our business, the kind of business that I do, the whole thing that you spend so much more money and effort to acquire a new customer rather than to maintain the customer that you have. And so I've never had my eyelashes done. I actually, like, legit, I think I want to at some point, and, but if you're spending $180 a month, that is a very stable income for any business owner, right? If I'm running a restaurant and I know Khadija is going to spend 180 bucks a month at my restaurant, then I want to make sure I do what it takes to keep her there. And it's cheaper than going out and spending a bunch of money on advertising or social media to pull in a new customer. But, I think one thing you said, and this is, I want to just talk about this is, it's like, some people are overcome by this COVID thing, right? Like, it's almost like it sapped the life out of them. And now the motivation is like, there's this fear out there. And I wonder, like, how do we overcome that? It's, not in any way to suggest that we should not pay attention to the health risks. Absolutely. But, this mindset is, there's a level of irrationality to it, I feel. And so, how do we help a business owner to kind of break through that? Because, this is a great opportunity. Like, our business is growing. It's growing incredibly. And I know many others who are. And so what do you think about that?
Yeah, so just helping business owners overcome fear that they have.
Yeah. And sort of really make sure that it's the customer, right? How do we get the customer back at the center of all of this?
Hmm. Well, I think fear for like a business owner, maybe like the fear of closing. I think just the fear in general is such a crippling emotion. I read this book called Big Magic, and I can't remember the author's name, but it's a really good book, and it talks about creativity. And she talks about fear's role in our life.
Okay.
And one thing that she describes fear as is like fear can come along for the ride, but it has to sit in the back seat and it can't have a voice.
Love it.
And so it's like, there is going to be fear, but even recognizing that fear is just an unproductive emotion to have.
Yeah.
And I just always think about, even for myself, like I'm building my like business coaching brand, and my little motto is love without measure and build without fear.
Love it.
Because it's the fear that can really make your foundations crumble
Yes.
and really stop you from building, because fear says stop.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I just think like really recognizing that fear doesn't have a whole lot of utility unless you're in physical danger.
Yes.
Um, but, and just, as a business owner, there's so many more things you can employ than fear. And you have to be able to think and just know and understand that fear for me is not going to help me to get to where I want to go. So
Yeah.
I need to employ something different. And I reckon, like, it's okay to recognize that, you can feel nervous, like you have experienced something that really hit home, and, it did affect your bank account, affect your life, affect your family,
Mm.
and all these things. So it's understandable that you might have those feelings of fear, but we just have to know that that fear won't get us to the next place, because fear will make you stop. Well, I don't want to do it again, because what if this happens again? Or what if I lose my money again? Or what if I this and what if I that?
No, I mean, and the thing I think that's so important to notice in this, right? And this is what I try to share with people all the time, is that, bravery, right? Courage.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in even remotely the absence of fear, right? Like I remember when I was a little kid, like I almost drowned twice. I tell this funny story, and it's true, right? Because I was always playing around. My grandma had this pool, and I was just, dumb little kid, right? And fell in the pool and started drowning, right? And no one's around. So I was like deathly afraid of swimming, right? And I remember one day I started wading into this pool, and I was like 6 years old. And I remember it just like it was yesterday, like legit. And I remember looking at the water and thinking, I'm afraid of that water. But why not just lean into it? Like, and kind of that's what I did. And by leaning in, what I meant is keep my head above the water so that I wasn't in danger, make sure that I wasn't over my head. But I got comfortable letting the water come up to my shoulders. And then I did that for a couple of weeks all by myself. It's actually weird to tell the story, because at a certain point after doing that, I just decided I can jump in and figure out how to swim. And at no point did the fear leave me. Actually, the fear was on the journey the whole time, but each time I got on the water, I was building bravery. And I think, you know, and now I mean, of course I swim all the time. I love to swim, but I think that a lot of people have this idea like I'm either fearless or I'm like this ancient Viking warrior out there, you know, fearlessly destroying the enemy, right? Or, you know, and I just don't think it's ever like that. I think we have our fear, but the question is, am I gonna be controlled by this, or am I going to find a way to be brave, right? And I think bravery is not the absence of fear. I think it's the presence of resilience in a lot of ways.
It's so good.
So, you know, I know we don't have a lot of time left, but one of the questions you know, people always ask me, and I'm no expert, and that's why I'll send them to you, or I'll send them to, you know, somebody, you know, Natasha, you know, a member of your family or other folks that I know of, you know, how do I start an e-commerce business? Hey, I want to start selling stuff on Amazon, right? And of course, I'm not that, so I do tend to send them to folks who are, you know, expert at that. So, you know, if somebody's listening to the call today and they're like, yeah, I'd like to start an e-commerce business, what are a couple of little tips that you could give them, maybe just to tweak their interest a little bit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so e-commerce is like massive. It's far beyond Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon is very much the physical product kind of platform,
Right.
like Kobo or Kindle books and stuff like that. But there's just so much to e-commerce. So there's having a physical product, if that's what you're interested in. Like if you want to build a brand and have your own product line or whatever it is, then Amazon's a great place to start because people are there to shop.
Yeah.
I would never just stay on Amazon because then you're building your business on one leg.
Yeah.
And you never want to build your business on one leg because if that leg falls, then you have no legs.
You're right. Not good, right?
Not good. So, so I think like having a physical product and learning to sell from Shopify and Amazon is like really fun. Like that's what we do, and we really enjoy it.
Okay.
But the other thing is that you can sell your knowledge online, so you don't even have to have a physical product. You don't have to have a lot of overhead.
Okay.
But maybe you've been in an industry for a certain amount of time, and now you feel like you have the capacity to start coaching or training and creating courses and different things to help other people who are interested in your industry.
Right.
Another thing that you could do is maybe you're great at like graphic design or copywriting or social media, or you want to learn those things. There's so many great resources online for you to learn skills to become great at building an online business of like whatever kind you want. And you can, you know, become a social media manager. You can start doing advertising online for businesses. So it's like the world is completely opened up to people to enter into a new way of getting educated in business and doing business. And like really the sky is the limit when it comes to e-commerce.
Yeah.
And I would really recommend people kind of explore a little bit.
Yeah.
Something that they feel like would fit them. I remember Amy, I watched an interview with Amy, can't remember her last name, Crawford, I think?
Yeah. Crawford. Yeah.
Crawford?
Yeah.
So like for her, she found doing social media management, I think it is.
Yes.
And that's just like one like sliver of what you can do for e-commerce. So like, this is what I tell my mom when she's struggling, go on to Google.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do I start an online business, or what kind of online businesses are there? And you'll get like a ton of content and information to start to get your feet wet. And then you can always ask me if you need more help.
No, I love that. And so, you know, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, because I mean, well, first, tell us a little bit about some of the coaching stuff that you do.
So right now, so I have my company, the B.I.G company.
Yeah.
And I was starting to venture into doing coaching.
Okay.
But I kind of limited what I do for coaching right now just because I need to really focus on selling my business in a year so that I can really focus full time on helping other people with their businesses. But what I do right now is I have a few people that I help who are starting their journey. So one of them is wanting to learn how to, start selling on Poshmark, which is a
Okay.
really fun business to do for people that have a lot of really great clothes and they want to sell them. So I like walk with a few people through like the process of like how to start and the different steps in between, and then overcoming the fear and like uncertainty. I think one of the biggest jobs that I feel like I have when I help people start their entrepreneurial journey through e-commerce is to eliminate the feeling of uncertainty that stops people from actually progressing.
Yeah.
So it's just like helping to build a plan for like step by step, ideas where it's not everything, but you kind of break it down into pieces, and that helps to bring in certainty and clarity and like a step by step process so that you can enjoy the journey, because it should be fun. Being an entrepreneur is fun. Starting something of your own is fun, and so just getting to help people with strategies so that they enjoy the journey is something that I love doing for them.
I love it. I mean, and so, so how could somebody reach out to you if they were interested in pursuing it a little bit? What are your thoughts?
So if you wanted to right now I'm not taking on any clients, but I do love to give like advice if you reach out to me.
Yeah.
So like a couple conversations. So for that, you can email me.
Okay.
My name is hard to spell, but Khadija
Yeah. Yeah.
at djapaul.com.
Okay.
So I don't know if we can type that
Yeah.
somewhere as well.
Cynthia will. So Cynthia is helping us out, and so it's Khadija
Yeah.
at djapaul.com.
Yep.
Okay. No, that's great. I think she's got it in the chat window there, so you can check it in a moment and just make sure. But that's great.
Yeah, sounds good. And then for our men's grooming side, our website is bigcompanyinc.com.
BIGcompanyinc.com. Okay, that's great. Well, Khadija, thank you so much for, sharing your heart with us and your wisdom. I think, this is a day unlike any other where, no matter what people are faced with or feeling, they do have opportunity to build something, right? And something that can be their own, but also, position them financially with stability, and also, we hope a chance to give back a little bit. I'm gonna give you a chance in a moment just to share one or two final thoughts. But I just want to say a couple of things here, folks. I do am so grateful to Khadija because I think it is a time for hope. And all I heard from Khadija for the last 40 minutes was hope, hope, and more hope. And I think that that's really what we want you to hear. The journey isn't necessarily easy, and sometimes there's sacrifices and challenges. But please know that you have everything in you need to get through these challenges, and you just got to often just persevere. One of the things I often say to people is, the greatest tragedy isn't death, but it's really life without a reason. And we lose our sense of purpose at our own peril. And that's one of the things that's so scary about today, because even the amount of toxicity we see on the media and sort of in popular press, it's breaking people down at the level of their soul. And so we've been here looking to give hope and just encourage you to re-engage, build your dreams. If you're wondering what's my next step, definitely reach out to Khadija. Her email is there. The website is there. But also, if you're interested, book a support call with myself, reach out to myself or my team, and we'll definitely help you and support you to move forward. Next week, we have another guest, or not next week, actually 2 weeks from today, because, summer pace a little bit less weekly and a little bit more time for reflection. But, we have Danielle, who's going to be joining us. And Danielle is actually the founder and CEO of The Birth Love. And that was interesting to me to discover what that's all about. But she actually has a process for mothers who are in the whole journey of childbirth and pregnancy, and supporting them. And of course, is a mom herself, and quite an inspiring entrepreneur. So make sure August 27th, which is 2 weeks from today, same time, same location, you tune in and we'll hear from Danielle. And so, Khadija, any sort of final thoughts for anyone here today? And again, thank you so much for being so generous with your time.
Yeah, thank you for letting me do this. It was so much fun. But a couple of final thoughts that it's so easy to feel a bit anxious and uncertain and just like all sorts of emotions. But I found that in any season of my life, like the two things that can completely get me out of a feeling of despair or just frustration or anxiety or whatever it is that I'm always growing and I'm looking for ways to contribute, because a feeling of like growth, it just completely transforms you as a person to know that your life is growing, your experiences are growing. It's such a like important part of our human needs to be growing.
Yeah.
And then contributing to others really actually helps with the feelings of anxiety and uncertainty, because it brings you out of yourself.
Yeah.
And usually feeling anxious is so like in you, but when you're there to like serve and contribute to other people, it really helps you to connect with life and feel alive and feel a sense of purpose
So this,
and connection to other people. So if there's anything that you do in your life, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, whether your business works out or it doesn't, always look for ways to grow and to contribute to other people.
that's so good, Khadija. And, I mean, at the end of the day, that's we hear a lot of talk today about privilege, but my take on it is, yes, there are certainly some elements of privilege out there, but, I think the greatest privilege is being able to have enough in your life that you can give back to others. And, I'm grateful for people like you, right, who are setting that kind of an example and who are out there doing it every day, not just talking about it. And I know that's the same for Alonzo as well. And so, again, Khadija, thank you so much. And all of you out there, thanks for giving us your precious time. Reach out to Khadija, follow them, buy some products. If you have a man in your life, maybe he's a little smelly, maybe he needs a little grooming, go to bigcompanyinc.com and get some products. Maybe I need some, I don't know. And for sure, reach out if you're looking for support, call and join us in a couple of weeks. So thanks. And thanks, Khadija, so
Thank
much,
you.
much appreciated. Okay. Take care, everybody.
Bye.